Go ahead. Hello, and welcome to the first of the Value-Based Payment Education Series held by the Millennium Collaborative Care PPS. Today's topic is Value-Based Payment 101. This will be available on the website throughout the year, and there will be more education sessions coming. You will be notified via the Millennium website as well as through the newsletter. The course catalog will be shown at the end of this class. The goal of value-based payment by the end of DSRIP Year 5 is that all Medicaid Managed Care Organizations, or MCOs, must transition to value-based payment, or VBP, for at least 80 to 90% of their provider payments. There are a number of key elements to value-based payment that it's important for the partners of Millennium to understand. The first one is that the state will show benchmarks and give guidance, but they will not set the rates. The rates will be negotiated between the PPS partner organization and the individual managed care organizations. Millennium as a PPS, the role of Millennium as the PPS is to help facilitate these negotiations, not to enter in or to be a part of the negotiations, and also to prepare its partners to be successful in value-based payment arrangements. There are a variety of options outlined in the roadmap, which can be found on the New York State DSRIP website. Many details are to be negotiated between the MCOs and providers. We strongly encourage all of the Millennium partners to refer back to the value-based payment roadmap on the Department of Health website to thoroughly educate your organization on all of the details of the roadmap. The state is committed to ensuring adequate reimbursement aligned with the value provided for the Medicaid population, consistent with federal statute. So, in other words, the state's goal is to not ask providers to do more with less, but in providing high quality, efficient care, reimbursement should be improved for the providers and quality of care for the consumer should also be improved. Another key element of value-based payment is to reduce lower value care, as in ED admissions, readmissions, and ambulatory sensitive admissions, and increasing higher care value in equal portions equals, again, higher margins for providers. It's important to note that this is not rationing care for the Medicaid population. It's not reducing services for the Medicaid population, but it is having the Medicaid population have services provided in the right setting at the right level of care, again, to improve quality and efficiency. Managed care organizations may contract with providers directly, or as the PPS evolves into a legal entity that can enter into a contract, MCOs may at that time work directly with Millennium. But again, at this point, Millennium is not a legal entity that can enter into contracts on behalf of any of its partners. So at this point, the PPS will be utilized again as administrative and best practice support moving forward. The roadmap pertains only to Medicaid payment reform, so it's important for organizations who have other lines of business such as Medicare or commercial to understand that many of the elements regarding Medicaid payment reform will not apply to other lines of business. There are a number of guiding principles in the roadmap that it's important for all of the partner organizations to understand. The first is that this roadmap is built upon the foundation already put in place by the state's Medicaid Redesign Team, or MRT, Payment Reform and Quality Measurement Work Group. In 2012, that work group concluded that innovative payment reform and quality initiatives should be transparent and fair, increase access to high-quality healthcare services in the appropriate setting, and create opportunities for both payers and providers to share savings generated if agreed upon benchmarks are achieved. Number 2, to be scalable and flexible, to allow all providers and communities, regardless of size, to participate. Reinforce health system planning and preserve an efficient and essential community provider network. So in other words, this is not one size fits all. Organizations, depending on their maturity and their financial capabilities, will participate in varying levels of risk, and it will not be the same for every organization. Some of the other guiding principles: to allow for a flexible multi-year phase-in to recognize administrative complexities, including system requirements, for example, information technology. So this is key for organizations to understand that this is an evolutionary versus a revolutionary process, that the purpose of investing in PPSs over the 5 years are for organizations to begin to prepare themselves both with people, process, and technology in order to be successful in a value-based payment arrangement. So things will not change overnight. Again, organizations will have time and the resources of the PPS to begin to prepare themselves to be successful in value-based payment, which is the state's goal. Another key guiding principle is to align payment policy with quality goals. So again, to move away from the fee-for-service way of delivering care into holding organizations accountable for achieving quality goals for the populations that they serve. To reward improved performance as well as continued high performance. A concern of many organizations is that we already have good outcomes. How can I improve my already good outcomes and still be successful? So again, there will be opportunities to be rewarded for maintaining high performance as well as achieving it. To incorporate a strong evaluation component and technical assistance to assure successful implementation. Again, this is where the role of the PPS comes in, to assist with data analysis, to assist with best practices, and to assist with administrative resources to adequately prepare all of your organizations. To engage in strategic planning to avoid the unintended consequences of price inflation, particularly in the commercial market. So again, it will be key for organizations to use Medicaid payment reform as a foundation to address all lines of business. To financially reward rather than penalize providers and plans who deliver high-value care through emphasizing prevention, coordination, and optimal patient outcomes, including interventions that address underlying social determinants of health. So in other words, a concern particularly of acute care systems is as you improve your resources and your care to the patients, patients are going to utilize acute care services less, with the goal of a 25% reduction by the end of District Year 5 for ambulatory sensitive emergency department utilization, admissions, and readmissions. So the goal of value-based payment is to recognize that those particularly acute care providers are going to need to be reimbursed in a different fashion in order to be financially sustainable and still meet the needs of the population. Total care for the general population. The VBP contractor may assume responsibility for the total care of its attributed population if the partner decides to utilize this level of VBP arrangement with a managed care organization. This will not be a strategy for some organizations that they are either able to do initially or ultimately able to do. So again, the role of the PPS is to help partners assess their readiness to be successful with value-based payment. And in fact, over the next few weeks, we'll be releasing a survey to a number of its partners to assess how that particular partner is able to ultimately be successful in value-based payment and what level it will be appropriate to participate in. Another example of value-based payment are bundles of care. So a bundle or episode is a value-based payment arrangement in which costs of a patient office visit, tests, treatment, and hospitalizations associated with a patient's illness, medical event, or condition are grouped together. There are different categories of episodes, acute or chronic. Again, this may be an arrangement for some of Millennium's partners that after assessing their capabilities and their strategic goals, that may be an arrangement that will be successful for them. But again, that's something that the organization has to determine. The PPS will not tell any of its partners what level of value-based payment arrangement that they need to negotiate with the managed care organization. Another type of value-based payment arrangement is total care for special needs populations. Some specific subpopulations, severe comorbidity or disability, may require highly specific and costly care needs, so that the majority or all of care delivery and costs determined by the specific characteristics of these members. A capitated model, per member per month, or PMPM, is best suited to these subpopulations. The following are the subpopulations in the value-based payment roadmap that New York State would like addressed. Number one, HIV/AIDS populations. The next, health and recovery plans, or HARP. The third, managed long-term care, or MLTC. And the last is care for the developmentally disabled. That will be included in the next update of the roadmap. It is not addressed in the current roadmap. This chart shows from the roadmap the various levels of value-based payment from minimal risk to significant risk, and again by category. So there are very specific goals in the roadmap as to what percent of Medicaid cost needs to be in which level of VBP by which DSRIP year. Again, that is on the VBP roadmap and will also be addressed in future Millennium communications and educations. So going through the chart, again, by category, the first, total care for general population, assuming the greatest amount of risk. Level 0 is fee-for-service with a bonus and or withhold based on quality scores. Level 1 is fee-for-service with upside-only shared savings when quality scores are sufficient. Level 2, fee-for-service with risk sharing, upside available when outcome scores are sufficient. Downside is reduced or eliminated when quality scores are high. Level 3, global capitation, or a PMPM with a quality-based component. So as the learner can see, this is a gradual introduction of risk to be negotiated between the partner and the managed care organization, again, based on capabilities of the organization to be successful. The second category, integrated primary care. Level 0, fee-for-service plus a PMPM subsidy with a bonus and or withhold based on quality scores. Level 1, fee for service plus a PM/PM subsidy with upside-only shared savings based on the total cost of care. Savings are available when quality scores are sufficient. So as the learner can see, the attainment of quality is key in an organization's ability to be successful in a value-based payment arrangement. And the goals are consistent with the IHI philosophy that increased quality does in fact reduce cost. Level 2, fee for service plus a PM/PM subsidy with risk sharing based on total cost of care, upside available when outcome scores are sufficient, downside is reduced or eliminated when quality scores are high. The greatest level of risk, a PM/PM capitated payment for primary care services with a quality-based component. The third category, bundles, and the specific bundles are listed again in the value-based payment roadmap. There also may be additional bundles negotiated between a partner and a managed care organization based on data and needs of the population. Level 0, fee for service with bonus and or withhold based on quality scores. Level 1, fee for service with upside only shared savings based on bundle of care, savings available when quality scores are sufficient. Level 2, fee for service with risk sharing based on bundle of care, for example, congestive heart failure. Upside available when outcome scores are sufficient, downside is reduced or eliminated when quality scores are high. Level 3, prospective bundled payment with a quality-based component. The last category, total care for subpopulations. The subpopulations were referenced in the previous slide. Level 0, fee for service with bonus and or withhold based on quality scores. Level 1, fee for service with upside only shared savings based on subpopulation capitation, savings available when quality scores are sufficient. Level 2, fee for service with risk sharing based on subpopulation capitation, upside available when outcome scores are sufficient, downside is reduced or eliminated when quality scores are high. Level 3, a PM/PM capitated payment for total care for the subpopulation with a quality-based component. So things for every organization to consider. Again, first, risk is complex, gradual change is best. So it will be key for organizational leaders and their governing boards to thoroughly examine the risk, their capability of incurring risk, and the capability of the organization's success. Millennium is here to assist with those processes. We have the capability to create educational sessions for specific segments of our PPS. For example, governing boards, executive teams, frontline staff, and clinicians. We will let you know at the end of this webinar how to access any of those resources. The second thing to consider, what is your organization's experience with risk beyond pay for performance and quality incentives? So has your organization already entered into risk-based arrangements with managed care organizations? And if so, what has your success been? If you've been successful, what tools and best practices can you take to create another level of risk? If you haven't been successful, a thorough evaluation of your organization's barriers will be key to being successful in the future. What is your organization's experience with data analytics and utilization to drive change? In order to enter into risk-based contract, it is critical that every organization understands their total cost of care, the analytics that are driving the utilization and the outcomes that your population you're serving is achieving, and what sort of processes do you have in place to analyze data that then drives action and improves outcomes. The fourth thing to consider is what level of clinical integration, population management exists within your organization. Again, in the partner readiness survey, a number of detailed questions will be asked by your organization for your organization to get a better understanding of where you are in relation to being prepared to successfully enter into value-based payment arrangements. The fifth, which is key, what is your organization's financial status? In order to enter into a risk-based arrangement, an organization must have a level of financial sustainability in order to delay certain types of payments. So what are the next steps? Value-based payment pilot implementation will be occurring throughout 2016 and beyond. Statewide readiness boot camps, the one for Western New York is a three-part educational series being held in the fall of 2016. There will also be webinars available after the boot camps for partners that were not able to attend the boot camp. The third, a midpoint assessment planning. So around DSRIP year 3, the state will evaluate where the PPSs are in the value-based payment roadmap, and the PPSs are rewarded as far as compensation based on achievement of very specific milestones in the roadmap. When the PPS is successful in achieving payment for those milestones, it is then rewarded to their partners. So it is key that the PPS, Millennium, and its partners work together in order to achieve the value-based payment milestones. The fourth, implementation of work group recommendations. Medicaid model contract and provider contract guidelines will be updated to reflect changes that were made throughout 2015. It's important to understand that the value-based payment process is one that is not only iterative for Millennium and its partners, but also an iterative one for the Department of Health, its Medicaid redesign team, and the managed care organizations. There are also ongoing clinical advisory groups. The clinical advisory groups are the group of experts, clinical subject matter experts, that are driving the content of the clinical pieces of the roadmap. So, for example, determining bundles and what are successful achievement of the bundles. So as you can see in this timeline, DSRIP Year 2, which is what we are currently in, the PPS will submit a growth plan outline path of their network towards the 90% value-based payment by the end of DSRIP Year 5. For Millennium, that plan is due September 30th. So it is key over the next few weeks that Millennium and its partners work closely together to again begin to initiate education sessions, initiate dialogue with executive teams and governing boards, and also for its partners when released to fill out the payment readiness survey, which then the PPS will review the results with each individual partner as well as the PPS as a whole. By the end of DSRIP Year 3, at least 50% of the dollars of the total managed care organization expenditure will be contracted with level 1 or above. 15% have to be contracted through level 2 or above. The goal, again, end of DSRIP Year 5, 80 to 90% of total MCO expenditure has to at least achieve level 1. At least 35% of the total payments through level 2 or higher for fully capitated plans. And then at least 15% level 2 or higher for non-fully capitated plans. So in closing, please forward any questions related to VBP to Millennium's Director of Finance, Catherine Panzarella, at kpanzarell@millenniumcc.org. Check Millennium's website for additional information on VBP and future educational offerings at www.millenniumcc.org. In closing, the catalog, the course catalog for the educational offerings throughout DSRIP Year 2 can be found also on the Millennium website. There will also be references to other educational offerings from other non-for-profit organizations, including the Department of Health, for organizations to refer to and utilize as they see fit that fits the needs of their organization. Again, also by reaching Catherine Panzarella, if an organization would like a tailored education session, again, for a board and executive team or clinicians, the PPS can develop that content and deliver that to its partners as part of the administrative support for value-based payment. The PPS team appreciates your participation in these educational webinars, and as part of any partner who has a master participation agreement, reporting is a piece of that. So chronicling attendance at all of the value-based payment education sessions will be key for Millennium to document to the Department of Health that we have achieved the educational milestones for the PPS. Thank you, and we look forward to sharing future sessions with you.